You're listening or watching Radio Afinju. The time is 3 p.m.
Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Lórí WhatsApp. Àfínjú. Instagram. Àfínjú. Facebook. Àfínjú. Lórí X. Àfínjú. Lórí YouTube. Àfínjú. Lórí TikTok. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ 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 Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú.
Stay informed with news on Radio Afinju.
First, a look at the highlights. IGP appoints new heads for Special Intervention Squad Marine Unit. UN Rights Chief warns of spread of Congo crisis at emergency UN meeting. Trump to meet Japan's Ishiba as China trade war simmers. Good afternoon and welcome to the World News on Radio Afinju. My name is Pearl Durotoye. The news in detail. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has appointed Commissioner of Police Abayomi Shogunle as the head of the Special Intervention Squad and to lead the elections planning, monitoring and evaluation unit as well as the Safe School Protection Squad. The first public relations officer, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, in a statement said the appointments aim to strengthen internal security and improve the police force's response to violent crimes. The statement also announced the appointment of CSP Chima Ogarashi as the new Force Marine officer tasked with enhancing security and tackling crime along the nation's inland waterways. These key appointments come at a crucial time as the force is set to unveil 25 newly acquired gunboats and plans to procure more maritime safety equipment to boost security operations on waterways nationwide. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has proposed the death penalty for drug peddlers. The Director General of the agency, Mojisola Adeyeye, met this call today, arguing that only strict penalties would deter drug peddlers, especially when their actions result in the deaths of children. She cited an example of someone who bought children's medicine for about 13,000 naira, while another person was selling it for around 3,000 naira in the same mall, which raised alarm. But after testing the medicine, there was nothing inside. The NAFDAC boss also called for the cooperation of the judiciary and the National Assembly to make the proposal a reality, adding that the agency is open to working with lawmakers and other stakeholders on the matter. The Ministry of Education has clarified that the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, merely proposed the introduction of a 12-year basic education system, and the reports of an immediate policy change on the matter were untrue. Several media outlets had suggested that a new policy aimed at scrapping the junior and senior secondary school system was already in effect. In a statement by the Director of Press at the Federal Ministry of Education, Folashade Boriowo, the ministry emphasized that the National Council on Education would review the proposal before any final decision is made. At the extraordinary National Council on Education meeting held on 6 February 2025 in Abuja, Alausa presented a proposal for discussion which seeks to transition to 12 years of compulsory education while retaining the current 633 structure. The ministry urges the public to disregard false claims that GSS and SSS have been scrapped, stating that the federal government remains committed to policies that enhance access to quality education while aligning with global best practices. The Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 polls, Peter Obi, has called for greater transparency and accountability due to the recent increase in the budget of restoration to 54 trillion naira as a result of reported revenue growth. Obi made a call in a statement on X earlier today, noting that while the sources of revenue were detailed, there was no corresponding breakdown of expenditures to justify the budget increase. The LP chieftain stressed the need for Nigerians to be informed on how public funds are allocated and spent. While urging the government to provide clarity on how the funds from the budget have been utilized, he wants the National Assembly to seize this opportunity to obtain and make public the full details of the 2024 budget of Renewed Hope budget. Obi's demands comes 2 days after President Bola Tinubu hiked the proposed 2025 budget from 49.7 trillion naira to 54.2 trillion naira, citing additional revenues generated by key government agencies. Away from Nigeria, the UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk said at an emergency meeting of the Geneva-based Human Rights Council that he was deeply disturbed by the escalating crisis in eastern Congo, urging all those with influence to help halt the violence and warning of a risk that it spreads beyond the country's borders. Congo called the meeting and is asking for it to urgently investigate massive human rights violations it says have been committed by Rwandan-backed M23 rebels in eastern Congo who have taken the city of Goma and are seizing more territory. Congo's Minister of Communication, Patrick Muyaya, told the packed meeting room it is urgent to exert international pressure so that Rwanda ceases its support of the armed groups and withdraws from the Congolese territory as soon as possible. Responding, the ambassador of Rwanda to the United Nations in Geneva, James Ngango, opposes the DRC's attempts to portray Rwanda as being responsible for its instability in the eastern DRC. He alleged that new evidence has come to light regarding an imminent large-scale attack against Rwanda following the fall of Goma, adding that there was a stockpile of weapons around the airport. In Somalia, forces from Somalia's semi-autonomous Puntland region have captured swaths of territory from Islamic State during a weeks-long offensive they hope will draw increased international support. The advances come against an IS faction that has gained an importance and was the target last week of the first airstrikes of the U.S. President Donald Trump's new administration. Before those strikes, Puntland security forces were seen patrolling and residents circulating on foot near the carcasses of army trucks destroyed in recent fighting. The village is in the middle of the northern Golis Mountains, which are the stronghold of IS in Somalia and were also the site of the U.S. strikes. Villagers said security forces had captured other areas too. In Asia, Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte said she had been preparing since last year for impeachment and would welcome on our defense team her firebrand father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, if interested to join. Sara Duterte said she had not read the complaint against her, endorsed by a majority of lower house members, but her lawyers were gearing up for a trial in the Senate, which the Senate president said could take place in June. Duterte's comments were a first since the lower house impeached her on Wednesday, charging her with culpable violation of the Constitution, graft and corruption, other high crimes, and betrayal of public trust, which Sarah has denied. Today, she again reiterated she had made no assassination threats. In Europe, Kyiv is looking forward to a visit this month by U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Keith Kellogg. This was disclosed earlier by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's chief of staff, Andriy Yermak. He did not provide an exact date for the visit. Yermak said he had spoken to the envoy about topics including the battlefield situation and the war with Russia, the safety of Ukrainian civilians, and meetings at the Munich Security Conference later this month. Ukraine has been trying to establish close relations with Trump's administration, which wants to bring a quick end to the nearly 3-year-old war since Russia's full-scale invasion on February 24, 2022. According to Yermak, Zelensky will lead Ukraine's delegation to the Munich Security Conference, which U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance also plans to attend. In the Americas, U.S. President Donald Trump will meet Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba for the first time this afternoon as two allies cautious of China's rise work to boost business and security ties while an escalating trade war threatens to rupture the global economy. Trump, whose first 3 weeks in office have shredded norms and shaken foreign capitals from Ottawa to Bogota, has taken a more conventional approach to Washington's long-standing Asia-Pacific allies, including Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the Philippines. But those friendships may be tested as Trump's early fight with China over synthetic opioids and warnings of tariffs against other countries, Japan included, threaten to disrupt commercial relations in Asia and beyond. At the same time, Japanese officials are wary of possible efforts by Beijing to court the U.S. president with promises of cooperation on key global issues, including trade. Trump spoke to the Chinese President Xi Jinping days before taking office and has said he will discuss tariffs with him soon. Argentina Security Minister Patricia Bullrich is on a mission to stamp out drug gangs in the South American nation that have driven rising violence and led to a spike in cocaine shipments to Europe. She says she is succeeding. Argentina has grown in importance as a transit hub for cocaine as production from Peru and Bolivia has flown down key waterways and out through river ports. Gang-related murders increased in tandem. Bullrich, in a rare interview with international media, told journalists the year-old government of Libertarian President Javier Milei was breaking up the gangs and blocking shipments from making their way to end markets, including to Europe, where the cocaine market has expanded in recent years. Once arrival to Milei as the presidential candidate for the main conservative bloc, Bullrich is now leading the crackdown on crime, tightening borders with Brazil and Bolivia, privatizing some prisons, and using artificial intelligence to track gangs. In the Middle East, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, said experience had proven that talks with the United States are not smart, wise, or honorable. This week, U.S. President Donald Trump said he would like to start working on a verified nuclear peace agreement with Iran after restoring his maximum pressure campaign on the country. According to Khamenei, Iran has reached its agreement with the U.S. and other countries after 2 years of talks, but the Americans did not adhere to it despite Iran's many concessions, adding that the person in charge tore it up, referring to Trump. He further said Iran would retaliate in kind if the Americans attacked Iran. Referring to Trump's proposal to forcibly move Palestinian inhabitants from Gaza to neighboring Arab countries, Khamenei said Americans are changing the world map on paper because it's devoid of reality. Now talking sports, former Real Madrid left-back Marcelo has announced his retirement from professional football after a trophy-laden career. Marcelo started his career with Brazilian club Fluminense before leaving for Real. The 36-year-old spent 16 years at Spanish giant Madrid, winning 6 La Liga titles and 5 Champions League trophies. He also won the Copa del Rey twice and the Club World Cup 4 times during his time with Los Blancos, for whom he made 546 appearances, scoring 38 goals. Marcelo helped his home team win the Copa Libertadores for the first time with victory over Boca Juniors in the 2023 final. He left the club by mutual consent last November and has not played since. Still talking sports, Atalanta winger Ademola Lookman will return to action for Atalanta before the end of the month. Lookman has sustained a knee injury in training last month and is yet to make an appearance for Gianpiero Gasparini's side since then, therefore missing Ladia's last 3 games across all competitions. The former Leicester City player will also not be available for both legs of Atalanta's UEFA Champions League playoff clash with Club Brugge. The Nigerian, according to Transfer Market, will, however, be available for Atalanta's Serie A clash with Empoli on February 23. Before we go, here are the highlights. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has appointed Commissioner of Police, Abayomi Shogunle, as the head of the Special Intervention Squad and CSP Chima Ogarashi as the new Force Marine Officer. Elsewhere, the UN Human Rights Chief, Volker Turk, said at an emergency meeting of the Geneva-based Human Rights Council that he was deeply disturbed by the escalating crisis in eastern Congo, urging all those with influence to help halt the violence and warning of a risk that it spreads beyond the country's borders. In the Americas, U.S. President Donald Trump will meet Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba for the first time this afternoon as 2 allies cautious of China's rise work to boost business and security ties while an escalating trade war threatens to rupture the global economy. That was the world news on Radio Afinju. To view our channel, please follow us on Facebook, X and YouTube at Radio Afinju. News was edited by Bukola Karim. My name is Pearl Durotoye. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.
na my hustle be this. Na here I dey see my daily urgent 2k o. Ìhà yín ni mo ti ń rí ẹgbẹ̀rún méjì náírà pàjáwìrì tèmi lójoojúmọ́. On this program, we will bring people from different business backgrounds to come tell their stories and share insights with us. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́, oníṣòwò, ẹ gbáradì. Ètò ti kàn yín ní rédíò Àfínjú. Bó o lẹ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀? Kí ni àwọn tójú yín rí? Kí lẹ̀ ń tà gangan? Bó o lẹ sì ti ń tà? My hustle will give you a direct insight into the business world. Join Aderonke Lawal, Ayoka Ọmọ Àkànmú on My Hustle every Wednesday 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Radio Àfínjú to have your minds blown. Ẹ lè tẹ̀lé wa lórí gbogbo ìkànnì abánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ wa pátápátá ní Radio Àfínjú.